The hosts and guests on Everything's Messy podcast are not licensed healthcare professionals. The discussions in our episodes are not personalized medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for medical guidance. Never delay seeking professional medical advice or emergency assistance because of our podcast. We encourage consulting with a healthcare professional before making any significant health changes. By listening to our podcast, you agree to the disclaimer. Thank you for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. Hey, welcome to Everything's Messy podcast, where we celebrate the beautiful but messy life experiences that most, if not all, people go through. Get ready to embark on an exciting journey through the raw and unfiltered stories of everyday people. Here, we dive into messy realities of life, from making messy mistakes to triumphs and everything in between. Are you sensing a theme? That's right, it's messy. But this just isn't about the mess. It's about finding strength and resilience in the midst of it all. We'll explore how health, fitness, and wellness play a crucial role in navigating life's twists and very messy turns. And we'll challenge conventional systems, because sometimes the most unconventional paths lead to the greatest discoveries. Join us as we embrace the messy, beautiful, and endlessly fascinating stories. Each episode is a testament to the power of our messy journeys and the beauty that emerges from the mess. So grab your favorite beverage, coffee, sparkling water, whatever it may be, and prepare to be inspired. Are you ready? Let's get messy.
What's happening, my messy people? We are into February. Oh my goodness. It has been actually really warm here in Southern California. Hoping that's about to change. It always gets cold around my birthday, which is very soon. So I'm excited about that. A couple housekeeping things. So I had my heartiversary, if you will, a couple of days ago. So now I'm 4 years post heart attack, which I'm just grateful to continue this mission and to continue to spread the word and get it out there. So happy to still be here, to say the least. And then again, with my birthday coming up, another trip around the sun. Who could ask for more, right? Completely and super blessed. And so happy and grateful. So that out of the way, I did want to get an update. I've been taking the black seed oil for 2 weeks now. I feel a little more energy. I don't want to say that. I hope it's not from other things. I am working out and, doing the dance class and doing golf. And so I'm excited about those things. But I do think the black seed oil has had some sort of impact. I do get my blood work done next week. So I hope there'll be some markers to improve and show like improvement from that. So those are some housekeeping issues. So like I said, we are into Heart Month. This is February. We need to be paying attention to our heart. Oh, and super quick. Yes, I am wearing a Dodger hat. I love to say this every year. So my favorite thing about the Super Bowl
HRV?
is that
HRV
the
is
Super Bowl
heart
is
rate
over
variability.
because now pitchers
And what
and
does that mean?
catchers will be
It
reporting soon
means
for
how much
spring
space
training, and then we
is
can get right
happening
back into
between
baseball
each
season
heartbeat.
and root
And
for
is
the
it
Dodgers,
consistent?
which,
Is
yes,
there
I bleed
longer
blue.
times? Do
Thanks,
you
Dad,
have
for
one
that.
heartbeat that's like
and my
1.05
husband, he's a
seconds,
Padres
and then the
fan, so
next
we are
heartbeat is
house-divided,
0.95?
we can
Those
still
are
get along
actually good
some days.
things. We want to have that
So anyway, so I
variability.
want to say
So
all
I used to
that,
play
and then,
piano,
like I said, we are
and I'm
into
sure a lot of you
Heart
who are
Month.
musicians
This
or play
is
instruments
where
know what the metronome
should we
is.
always be
And
paying
it's this
attention to our heart?
tick,
Yes.
tick,
Is this where I
tick
can
to keep you
showcase
on
and talk
beat
about
as
it
you're
all the
playing
time?
the
Yes.
songs,
I
right?
had
Our
another
heart
great privilege and
shouldn't be
honor
as
to be
consistent as
on
a metronome. I know that sounds funny.
Holly's
I know you would think
podcast that I was in
wait,
on
there's
December. I
arrhythmia
was
and
able to
stuff like
come
that.
back
Well,
and
there's
share
good
heart
arrhythmia and
disease
there's bad
awareness with
arrhythmia.
her.
And it
so if
really
you want
has
to
to do
find
with
that
how
podcast,
how much
the
space is
Costa Mesa
between
podcast, and it
each
is on
heartbeat,
YouTube
how
if
much
you
time.
want to see me talk
And
about
so the
more
way
heart
we can
statistics there.
kind of break that
So
in
as
and
I
talk
said,
about
we're
that
talking about
is
hearts, and
we want
why.
so
I mean,
even
we
if your
know it's
heart rate is
important,
60
right?
beats per minute,
But there's so many things and
those beats
intricacies
aren't
that go
perfectly
in with the
spaced
heart
apart
and the
for 1 second,
different
right?
systems
So
that it
like I
affects.
said, we want to
And
have
I think
one
one of the
at
things that we
1.10
really need to
seconds
get
and one
into,
at
0.92
and this will probably be a
seconds.
two-part
The more
series because I
variability
don't
that
want
we
to
have, the better. So
overwhelm you
this
too
may
much.
sound
So we'll
counterintuitive. I
probably
know
do a
I
two-part
kind
for
of have
this
to wrap
one,
my
but I
head
want
around
to
it.
be
That's why I'm
talking
kind of
about
slowing down
HRV.
and making sure I say the right thing. So it's a reflection. The HRV is actually a reflection of our atomic nervous system. How many times have you heard me talk about my nervous system and how it's all out of whack? Typical for women. Again, we're talking about heart disease being the number one killer for women. So I'm specifically speaking now, again, men, you don't get to be like, oh, phew, I'm out of the woods. No, but we need to really understand what we're dealing with here. So HRV, we want it to be a reflection of our nervous system and how well we're balancing what? What are we balancing? We're balancing the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And the parasympathetic is the fight or flight, which a lot of women seem to be constant in that fight or flight mode. That really puts a damage on how well we're sleeping, how well our recovery is, and our HRV, our heart rate variability. So those are very important things to kind of know about yourself. If your HRV is high, it means your nervous system is flexible. What does that mean? It means it can ramp up when it needs to, and it can dial it back down when it doesn't need to be ramped up. For those of us, again, in that fight or flight mode all the time, we are constantly high. So what do you think that's doing to our HRV? It's not very good. Because when it's low, our system is stuck. We are stuck. We're not getting that flexibility we need to get to the heart. It is stuck. And that means we are in a chronic state of stress activation. Hello. Oh my, this is just all, I'm checking all the boxes again. If you're listening to this in your car and you're laughing and you think you too, good, because keep listening. I'm going to have some very, very simple things we can actually, that's one thing about one of the symptoms that we can improve on is HRV. So stick with me, okay? So high HRV, a body that bounces back, is quick to recover, seems like it, is relaxed, but can amp up when it needs to. Those really, really good things to have. Low HRV, a body stuck in energy debt. Okay, energy debt. That means you can be eating right. You can be working out. You might even be sleeping better. But if you are having high chronic stress and your body cannot differentiate how to calm down when it needs to, and yes, I know, dangerous words to tell a woman, relax or calm down. But if we can't do those things and be able to have the flexibility for the on and off switch, we're in trouble. So HRV is influenced by sleep, mental stress, and emotional tension. Could be the same, could be two different things depending on what you're going through. Blood sugar and food choices. So again, blood sugar seems to be, whether you're diabetic or not, it seems to be an ongoing thing that I see in a lot of these trends and wellness, and it's all about the blood sugar. It's probably why a lot of people who are not diabetic have invested in the continuous glucose monitors so they can get a baseline of what their blood sugar is, because while you might be in normal range, we're always talking about normal versus optimal range. So I bet they're trying to get their blood sugar in the more optimal range than just a normal range, right? And so I think it's interesting, again, non-diabetics wearing these sensors, and what their very tiny micro trends that they're seeing and how that might affect their ability. So keep that in mind. Maybe you're not a diabetic, but you might be thinking that, your blood sugar is playing a role in some things. So it also has to do with exercise and recovery time, hydration and inflammation, and breath patterns, temperature, and even light exposure. So what are we always talking about? The very basic things we need to get. Sunlight, especially in the morning, that sets our hormone, our circadian rhythm, all of the cortisol levels drop. That's what we need to be focused on. Movement, drinking our water, but not overly hydrating ourselves. Remember to add in those electrolytes so you're getting the proper amount of sodium, potassium, chloride, all that kind of stuff. We need to be able to hydrate consistently along with everything else. So the truth about low HRV, you don't just need more sleep. You do, but we're talking about the quality of sleep. And I've talked about this before. I have become very protective over my sleep. I try very hard to go to bed at the same time every night and wake the same time every morning. There's, different apps that tell you when it's optimal for you to do so. I feel like, sure, you can get the app if that's easier for you, but a lot of this has to do with just listening to your body. If you're still wired at 9 o'clock at night and you're forcing yourself to go to sleep, you're probably not going to have a restful sleep. If you push it back to 10:30 and that feels more relaxed and you're able to wake at 5:36 whenever you get up, then that's your restful sleep. For me, I notice the earlier that I can go to bed consistently at the same time, it has done much better for me than staying up later. I think that's just my body, but that's me listening to my body. That was me figuring out my sleep patterns. That was me figuring out that I needed a very ice cold room to get the best sleep that I could get. And yes, probably has to do with perimenopause. Let's not open that wound yet. But the colder I can be, even if I have blankets on, the colder I can be, the better I'm going to sleep. So that's what I have figured out for me. Um, so you can't outsleep a broken recovery system. Let me say that again. You can't outsleep a broken recovery system. If you're going to bed and you're waking up and you're still tired after you wake up, something's amiss on top of what you're doing during the day that is looking at your recovery system. So, like I mentioned, if your nervous system is stuck or on mode, your body doesn't shift into a deep sleep. So, if you're having chronic stress all day long and doing nothing to combat that stress, again, I stay away from the word balance, but we definitely need to use combat. What are you doing to bring in those? Are you, exercising, walking, praying, meditation, whatever that is going to, so you can calm, even breathing. I've talked about this. I didn't know how to breathe. I know that sounds funny when I say it. I didn't. So those are things that we need to really, investigate and pay attention and be self-aware of ourselves and of the patterns that we're having. Side note, there is a really good episode. I don't know the number. I can post it in the show notes later. But if you listen to Andrew Huberman, which him and he has good information, but I got really mad when he was pro removing the black box on the HRT. But I digress. But he does have a good episode that talks about the HRV and the breathing and how our heart rate speeds up when we inhale, and then when we exhale, our heartbeat slows down. So he suggests if you're trying to calm yourself down, you're going to want to let out a great big exhale, and push it all the way out. You want to get that diaphragm to drop. You want all of the air to come out of your lungs, and that's actually going to slow your heart rate. So there is a science, there is a way in which we should breathe and which we shouldn't breathe and how that affects our system. So like I said, I'll post what number that is in the show notes. But it is Dr. Andrew Huberman, and he does go into detail with that. If we're waking groggy, foggy, and slow, and coffee barely helps, and movement feels heavy, right? We show up and we're like, okay, I'm here, but I don't want to work out. It's probably because you're not recovering. So without deep sleep, you don't repair. Hormones don't rebalance, muscles don't rebuild, tissues don't recover, and your brain doesn't clear the waste. So that's really important. That's why you feel like you're aging faster than you should, why your energy just crashes. I mean, mine used to crash couple hours into the day. A lot of people talk about the afternoon slump. I was already in zombie mode by then. It didn't matter. We really you need to be self-aware and figure out what that is. And then also, and this always blew my mind. I didn't understand. I was working out. I still work out consistently, but when I started working out, I was working out hard. And I remember I had a trainer briefly in the beginning, and I used to say, I'm really, really sore. Should I be this sore? And he kept saying, yeah, just keep at it. You're fine. You'll recover. Your muscles will get stronger. It'll be fine. And my soreness never went away it was a very, very long process. Everything hurt, even on days where I would take my rest days and I wasn't overdoing it. It was just super sore. That had to do with my recovery being so slow because of low HRV. Let's see. So in my case, I really believe it wasn't laziness and it wasn't just stress. It was a chronically suppressed HRV system. So you always hear, this is interesting. You always hear the phrase recharge your battery, right? But most people don't realize that HRV is the metric behind that battery. So if our metric is off, your battery is not going to go to 100%. And that's where I was stuck. And that's really crucial. We're trying to maybe point to other things that are giving us this issue when really it's our heart rate. And that's really, really important to know. So when your HRV is high, you enter deep sleep more easily. You wake up refreshed. Your mood is more stable. Your digestion, focus, and motivation are all smoother. Even your pain tolerance improves. That's pretty major, right? When your HRV is low, you wake up tired, even after hours of sleep. Especially when I was early on dealing with Hashimoto's and my thyroid, I could sleep, wake up and be exhausted and be ready for a nap. And the the way that I can't describe the fatigue that you feel with Hashimoto's and hypothyroid unless you've actually experienced it. And then tackle that on top of that with an HRV that was low. I mean, it just it paralyzed me. It really did. So HRV is low. You wake up tired even after hours of sleep. You stay reactive and irritable. Your blood sugar is more volatile. Your muscle soreness and inflammation increase, and your mind can't shut off even when your body's exhausted. This isn't rhetorical. This is serious. This is absolutely what's happening. Studies have shown that chronically low HRV is linked to anxiety and depression, cardiovascular disease, poor cognitive performance, metabolic issues, and a shorter lifespan. Just hearing that right now, we're talking about heart disease, we're talking about cardiovascular disease, knowing that your beats per minute, and if there's enough time and space in between those beats, have such a crucial point. We throw the term heart health around, willy-nilly and just, oh yeah, we need our heart health. But to understand what that means, that makes you want, or it makes me want to get up every day and know that right now, especially, my focus is on repairing my heart, getting my heart healthy, or maintaining it and staying healthy, and giving it all the tools it needs to do that. And this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to tell you what those tools are, and at least what I'm using. I can't tell you what to do. I'm not a doctor, but start investigating your own body, your own awareness. What are you feeling? Do you think maybe this is something that you're dealing with? So here's to the part where I spoke earlier. I'm going to give you some things. We can train our HRV. That's good news. This isn't something that you're just stuck with and you have to live with. You can train it. If you have access or know what the recovery tools are, then you can go forward and do what you need to do, right? Tell how your body is bouncing back. We want to be able to measure something quantifiable of how it's bouncing back, right? So again, we have to put in the tools being consistent good sleep. Well, we can't get into consistent good sleep if we're in fight or flight. How do we bring down fight or flight? We're going to really concentrate on the tools that we can relax: breathing, sauna, exercise, not intense exercise. We're talking a slow walk, being out in nature, grounding. I don't know how many times I've talked about barefoot on the earth is going to give you that rush of just breathing and slowing down and becoming I almost say becoming in the ground, but like being attached to the ground. It really does have effects on your body. I, you know, I regret when I was a younger mom always telling my kids, put your shoes on. No, they should have been running wild and not having to worry about shoes. Although then you have injuries and things like that. I was a young mom. I didn't know. So I regret that. But now that I know better, I'm like, hey, take off your shoes. Let's stand in the grass. Let's go stand over here. Why do we think we feel so great when we go to the beach? Think about this for a minute. When you go to the beach, not only do you have the ions that are floating from the salt in the air that you're absorbing, the wind, the sea, the sand between your toes, all of this we are absorbing into our body. The ocean is a great place if you can find a clean one, a clean beach, which is kind of sometimes difficult out here in Southern California. But if you can swim full body in the ocean, you can get the salt to absorb into your skin. It has magnesium, all of these things. We feel so much more relaxed at the beach. We feel so much more calm at the beach. I mean, those are real things, and there's an actual science to why we do, not just because it feels good, because boy, does it feel good. So think about that, thinking about moving your feet on the ground, even if it's not the sand, right? So we want to improve in very small, consistent habits. I'm always telling you guys, it's not about perfection, right? Live by the 80-20. In a couple of weeks, I get to go to Texas and see my family, and I'm sure I'm not going to be I'm going to try to keep to my diet, but I want to enjoy and be with family and break bread. And, for someone I'm not allowed to ever have bread with the gluten sensitivity and thyroid, I might be having some bread, let me tell you. But that's why you live by the 80-20. If you're doing what's right 80% of the time, 20% you can live your life. That's what I'm subscribing. Talked about this before. We have a lot of these simple routines that I suggest everybody do. Ensure that you are choosing this for yourself or talking with your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm telling you what works for me. Morning light. Morning light is an HRV reset. To do with so many things, but 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight. And it's crucial. It's very important that we're getting that sunlight within 30 minutes of waking up. So if you're going to go drink your electrolytes, maybe you're going to go drink a warm cup of bone broth, while you're doing that, sit out in the light. 10, 15 minutes is all you need. You don't want to have sunglasses on and you don't want to have your blue screen or phone, tablet, whatever. Just sit out there. Take your slow breaths and let your eyes dart around and become familiar with the light and what you're seeing because all that light is coming into you. And believe it or not, it is regulating the circadian rhythm. It is helping those cortisol levels. And I know people are like, that's too simple. That can't be what's working. My cortisol's off the charts. Well, if you start to do that consistently, and you're marrying that with other things, you're gonna see an improvement. Now, the quicker, faster ways are all these supplements and everything, but I would like to try and do it as naturally as you can, especially with, you know, money these days and everything that's going on. You don't have to spend money on those supplements, and sitting out in the sun is free, right? We need to try and do it. And I know some of you are like, well, I have to be to work at 8 a.m. and I have to do this, and there's no sun when I get up. Okay, I think if you can, and I know some jobs don't allow it, trust me, married to, first responder, it gets crazy. But on your days off, if you can try and be consistent, maybe you can try and take a break. If you can just sit in that sun consistently, 10 to 15 minutes every morning, that is so key for you. It really is. And again, no sunglasses, and let your brain to give the brain a moment and register the daylight because it's absorbing that light, and that light is then going to tell different systems in your body, the hormones, like I said, circadian rhythm. You want to give it a chance to really, really do that. Okay. So then um, we want to rehydrate for our recovery. And everybody's going to say, well, you said don't drink a lot of water. I want you to drink the right water as far as making sure it's infused with electrolytes and or the water you're drinking. It is truly because you're thirsty, not because somebody told you you need to get 80 to 100 ounces of water a day. Because I debunk that. I don't subscribe to that. So we need to drink a full glass of something. What does that mean? Probably 8 ounces, right? Maybe 8 to 10 if you need to, depending on how dehydrated you might be after you wake. And again, I would add the electrolytes or a pinch of salt or something, maybe even drink it warm. Remember, we have been talking about the Chinese medicine where they're saying our digestive system is woken up by putting something warm into the body. Cold makes it constrict. So we want to open that up. We want our body to feel that warmth so the systems can wake up and start moving. And that is so, and believe it or not, your nervous system is highly sensitive to hydration. So even mild hydration is a stressor that lowers HRV. Sorry, dehydration is a sensor that lowers HRV. So we do want to be hydrated. We just want to do it correctly. And again, if you're drinking that glass of water 15 minutes within 15 minutes of waking, and again, add the electrolytes, or even if it's bone broth, that's the bone broth. I'm telling you, that is hydration too. And you sit out in that sun and you kill two birds with one stone, and you're almost there. You're doing those little things that's going to help your HRV. So the next thing that I'm going to tell you is going to be up to you. Okay. We want to eliminate one hidden HRV drain. One of these next things you just want to eliminate. So these are three things I've given you, right? The sit out in the sun, drink something for your hydration, whether it's warm or cold. I'm not going to be too specific, although I do encourage it to be warm so it wakes up our systems. And then this third thing is going to be what you think you can remove to help your own HRT. So is it going to be no phone after 9 o'clock, right? I have talked about before that you can put a filter on your phone. At least you're not absorbing that blue light late at night. But I put that filter on starting right when it's dark outside. So right now we're still getting darker earlier. So about 5:30, that filter's on my phone. So I can start to decompress and get into sleep mode by 9 o'clock. I'm not looking at that blue screen. So if you have to have your phone, I really recommend that filter. It's really, really a good thing. Um, but if you don't want to do that or whatever, I would say no phone after 9 or at least no screens 30 minutes before bed. That's really going to tell your brain, okay, it's time to shut down. We need to power down and we need to make sure that we're, you know, giving it that message. No food or alcohol after 8 p.m. So everybody says, well, alcohol helps me sleep. It actually doesn't. And it's actually worse for your system. And if you notice, it can, at longer term, it can tend to wreak havoc on your sleep. So if you can refrain, especially the no food, we want to give our systems time to digest everything, and going to bed with, not right after having a heavy meal is really, really important. And again, the alcohol, if you can, not have anything after 8 p.m., that's really good. And look, again, back to the 80/20. There's going to be days or nights where we're going to indulge. And if that is, what you choose, that's fine. You just want to be doing 80% of it most of the time, right? And then again, going back to the stimulation of our brains, we don't want to be having, you know, not necessarily conflict, but like, deep resolution conversations. We don't need to be stimulating at 9 o'clock at night of a very maybe difficult conversation with your spouse or your children. Those things do not need to be happening right before bed, because let me tell you, you're not going to go to sleep that night. It's just not going to happen. Sometimes I know it's unavoidable, but again, 80/20. If you can refrain from doing anything very stimulating towards the end of the night, your brain is really going to realize, okay, we're powering down. We're powering down. That means I need to get into, the mode of sleep where I'm going to get that REM sleep. I'm going to have good sleep cycles, and my body's going to be in a deeper state of sleep. Remember, it's not quantity, it's quality. Talked about before, the Navy SEALs, they have the box breathing that they do when they need to go to sleep quickly, and maybe it's only for an hour and their body is able to recover and wake. Now, again, it's not optimal or ideal, but it does help them power down when they need to and get back up when they need to. So we need to try and emulate that. Again, we're certainly not dealing with the stress that they're dealing with, but there is validity in that box breathing method. So when we can improve HRV by helping the nervous system power down, because that's so important. And then you just, take one of these things and try it and remove it. You're that much closer to a more stable and more um, reliant HRV. And we're getting it up. We want to get the higher the HRV, the better. That means that there's variability between our heartbeats. We are making this space in between them. And that is crucial for, believe it or not, for long-term life, for warding off these other things, especially cardiovascular disease, which we've talked about. And again, as we are in February and we're focusing on the heart, this is just one more thing that I'm putting into my tool chest that I could implement. And these are pretty basic, easy things. Now, again, I know some people's schedules don't allow it. It can be very difficult, especially if you have to be at work before the sun comes up. I totally understand. I'm not saying, well, too bad for you. I'm saying if there's ways where you can cheat the system, where you can work it out, where you can get that sunlight, and then again, drink. Again, I suggest something warm. It wakes up our digestive system. It helps us keep our body temperature. These are really good things. Even if it's hot water, some people, "Oh, I don't want to drink the bone broth, but I'll cook with it." Okay, then make your water hot, warm it up like a cup of tea, and add lemon and electrolytes to it. That's a really good, and it helps to reduce that cortisol. It's so important. So I'm trying to tackle all of these things that all lead back to the issue of the nervous system and getting that nervous system under control. Really quickly, I do want to mention too, when we're talking about traditional Chinese medicine, the blood. The blood is so important. And I know I mentioned it on the other episode, but let's just go over it really, really quick. We want that blood in our body to be flowing, to be circulating so well. And one of those things that while you're drinking something warm, that wakes up your blood. Bone broth is so good for your blood. Remember, it's not, I talk about this all the time. I think I'm one of the very few that say it. Your liver doesn't detox. It connects right into the small intestine, and we don't detox from our liver. What does the liver do? The liver holds the blood. It holds the blood. The more blood it has to hold that can course through your liver, the better you are doing for your body. Well, how are we getting it coursing if we have low HRV? See, it's all connected. It's all coming round and round. So drink that hot water or bone broth, get that sunlight, and remove one of the things that I mentioned. Those are your 3 steps to do. We're not even sprinting. We're not even doing hardcore exercise. That will come much later. But these 3 basic things, and again, I always tell you, meet yourself where you're at. Do what you can do. Don't expect perfection. We need you to be able to do these things so you'll stay committed and continue to do it, right? That motivation, it's going to wear out. Yeah, we need that discipline, but we need to have all of our symptoms or all of our systems on the same page to increase or decrease our symptoms and increase our HRV. So that is what I've got for you today. I'll get into more HRV stuff in the next episode. And hopefully you were like, oh, all of that makes sense. Oh, I can't wait to try that. Let me know what you're trying. Let me know what you're doing. I love to hear your feedback. And if you have any questions, hit me up. You can find me on Instagram at Everything's Messy Wellness. I am on, email, same thing. YouTube, just drop me something. I'd love to have some feedback from you guys. I have a few people that do, a few of my clients, they're constantly like, I couldn't do this without the 80-20. If that's all you take away from this, then let it be that. Because if we make ourselves be perfect, if we make ourselves, strive to 100% or nothing, we are doomed to fail. Doesn't mean that you will. There are a lot of people who can master that. But a lot of us need a little more gentleness, a little more grace, and we can, achieve a whole lot more than all of the pressure. Just get rid of that pressure, remove it. So thank you, my messy warriors, and I will see you later.
Thanks for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. Whew, if you made it this far, give yourself a gold star or at least a nap. Honestly, if you showed up today and you were listening, you've already crushed it. I'm so grateful for you listening. If anything hit home, share it, tag me, write it on a sticky note. I don't care. Just don't keep all of this messy goodness to yourself. You can find me on Instagram at Everything's Messy Wellness or over at my website, everythingsmessywellness.com, where I've got resources, coaching, and probably a new rant about blood sugar or something that's just nonsense. It's all waiting for you. Check out my YouTube channel. I've got all of my podcast episodes up there. And I'm on X at Everything's Mess. Or if you just want to send me an email, Sarah at everythingsmessywellness.com. Look, until next time, hydrate, take no crap, and as always, keep it messy.